true thorn in Clinton and Bush's sides was the challenger Ross Perot, a Texas billionaire. Perot appealed to libertarians and conservative independents, stirring populist sentiment against policies like the North American Free Trade Agreement, which people rightly worried would send American jobs overseas. After issuing a challenge on Larry King Live, his supporters quickly held drives to get Perot on the ballot in all 50 states.
If you're that serious, you, the people, are that serious, you register me in 50 states. And if you're not willing to organize and do that, then this is all just talk. Stay with me, Larry. I'm saying to the ordinary folks, if you're dead serious,
start committees.
I want to see some sweat. I want to see some sweat. Why do I want to see some sweat? I said it earlier. I want you in the ring.
Perot's position allowed him to eat up support from both Clinton and Bush. For a little while, Perot gained momentum, even leading the polls ahead of Clinton and Bush in June. And Perot specialized in generating conspiratorial fear about a new world order brought on by the North American Free Trade Agreement, zeroing in on the correct assessment that it would cost American jobs, referring to a gigantic sucking sound of all the employment opportunities leaving. Perot's advisors pushed for electoral wins in California, Texas, Florida, and Michigan in a bid to carry half of the necessary votes, triggering a House of Representatives vote. Perot was especially confident about his appeal in Texas, and he presented himself as the proper alternative to Bush. He took out ads blasting Republicans and presented an economic plan in a book called United We Stand: How We Can Take Back Our Country. While Bush and Clinton danced around the economy issue with vague ideas like cutting administrative costs, Perot called for sharp tax increases and harsh budget cuts, like not only reducing military spending by $40 billion, but also by slashing the budgets of entitlement programs like Medicare, Medicaid, food stamps, and veteran benefits. Whether or not his supporters knew these plans, Perot still courted a devoted following, especially when he called for more government incentives for businesses. Perot even reportedly had support from Black Americans. In California, polls predicted he would get 18% of the vote, and a CBS poll predicted Perot was winning 12% of the Black vote nationwide. Other Black voters, like the staff of Howard University's Hilltop newspaper, were happy that Perot's candidacy meant the prospect of independent grassroots presidential politics is no longer considered unpractical. But Washington pollsters discussed a potential Ferraro effect, in which a shiny and new political candidate has a sharp ascent and a quick drop if they don't meet expectations. On July 16th, Ross Perot unexpectedly quit the race and pulled out, upsetting the voter base he had gained. At the August Republican National Convention in Houston, Pat Buchanan gave a rousing culture war speech that preyed on Republican sentiments about the continued divide with Democrats. To them, Clinton, who didn't serve in Vietnam, who smoked weed, and cheated on his bitchy, power-hungry wife, seemed like an ideal loser, one who represented the perceived cultural crisis that would only worsen under Democratic leadership. The RNC would give the nomination to Bush, but Buchanan's speech stood out. After all, he had won 3 million votes in the primaries by being astute at courting controversy and publicity in a society that increasingly blended entertainment with politics. He raged against the recent LA riots, which he erroneously called the worst riot in American history, even though the 1863 New York City draft riots in which whites attacked blacks was worse. He chewed up feminists and abortion and railed against Democrats in the DNC, saying, "I watched that giant masquerade ball up at Madison Square Garden where 20,000 liberals and radicals came dressed up as moderates and centrists in the greatest single exhibition of cross-dressing in American political history." Despite all of Clinton's campaign choices, the right still painted him and Democrats as radically left-wing. Bush took 38% of the popular vote, and Ross Perot, in a stunning show for a third-party candidate that has never been matched since, took 19%. That means approximately 19.8 million Americans were convinced that the billionaire mogul with zero political experience or solid political plans who quit in the middle of the race was the ideal candidate. Also, a total 58 million Americans voted against the moderate Democrat candidate for the libertarian or the moderate Republican. Please run those numbers back if you're confused about what people were voting for. Meanwhile, Clinton did win 370 electoral votes compared to Bush's 168, while Perot took 0. In a percentage not too far off from CBS's prediction of 12%, 7% of Black Americans voted for Perot.